Opposition leader Michael O'Brien says Victoria is out of step with the latest medical advice by telling students to learn from home. The coalition argues that students have a low risk of contracting COVID-19 at school, and by not sending them back, it's a huge disadvantage to them. Now, Premier Daniel Andrews says that if you can keep your kids at home, then you must keep your kids learning from home. But Michael O'Brien says this is a huge strain on families. Families now need to balance working from home as well as providing homeschooling. He spoke a little earlier and he said that other states are getting kids back into the classroom, and that's what Victoria needs to be doing.
Why should Victorian students be denied the opportunity to be able to attend school that their counterparts in other states are getting from this week? We know that face-to-face learning is better. It's better for students than remote learning. So if students in Victoria can do it safely, why should they be denied the same opportunity that kids in other states are getting from this week?
The Liberal leader has proposed a plan to get Victorian students back into the classroom safely. He says this could be done by staggering drop-off and pick-up times, by increasing funding to schools so they can have regular deep cleans, and from banning contact sport. Now, the Shadow Minister for Education in Victoria says that it's really unfair to disadvantage families by telling them that they have to have their kids learning from home.
We already have our Year 11s and 12s having a very disrupted year. Instability, uncertainty, they really need to get back on track. At the primary end, we know for preps and grade 1, this is the critical time for their learning. The gap between the advantaged and the disadvantaged has the potential to grow, with children within advantaged families putting in the effort. But if you're a family who have recently arrived, who can't speak English, it is much harder.
We all have an agreement that schools are an important element for the learning and development of kids. That is unequivocal. We've also agreed nationally, through a national process, that individual First Ministers can make their decision around how school settings are set up. I can't speak for the decision-making of other Chief Health Officers, but it's my call, and I hope that I'm enabled to be able to make it.
And Gab, Victoria is not the only state where this debate over schools is raging. We've seen it play out over the last week. Now in Queensland, a war of words has erupted between the Federal Home Affairs Minister and the State Premier.
That's right, Danica. The federal government has been putting pressure on all states to return to schools as normal as quickly as possible. Prime Minister Scott Morrison called for all schools to be open on Friday, and now Peter Dutton is firing up about Queensland's handling of the issue.
There's no reason why, in my home state, our kids shouldn't be back at school. And the power of the unions here, the way in which they've been able to pull the strings of the state government here for a period of time, is a concern to all Queenslanders. We know that the CFMEU, the teachers' union, other unions have massive say here in Queensland, and at the moment that say is dominating the Premier's thinking.
Peter Dutton is not getting the health advice that I'm getting. So I will listen to the experts and I'll respond to the experts, and we will then convey that expert advice with the stakeholders. We said that by the 15th of May we would be reviewing schools. So that work is happening. We are very conscious that we need to have, some COVID-ready plans in place.
Danica, the schools debate continues, and Term 2 resumes in New South Wales tomorrow through online learning before students go back into the classroom for 1 day a week in week 3.
That's been